This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's the Relevant Podcast, episode 977. I am your host, Tyler Huckabee, once again back in the host seat, ready to take us on another wild ride through maritime law, and along with the usual Relevant Podcast news. Joining me today here on the podcast from Loverland, Virginia, we got Jesse Carey.
Hello.
Down there in Houston, Texas, we have our associate editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hello.
And for the time being, in California, what is over there, I believe, 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, an ungodly hour for podcasting, we are joined by our very own Gabrielle Griffin. Hey, Gabs.
Hi, guys. Glad to be here.
It looks like you are recording this from, based on what I can see, like in the like Greenland or something, like one of those places where it's nighttime for like 30 days out of the month, except for like you get 12 hours of sunlight.
Yeah. The sun is starting to come up. I can see it peeking through, but getting up was a trip.
What a trooper. I don't know what I think I've recorded very late into the evening, and it's bled into about 6 a.m. your time, Tyler. I feel like we've been on some marathon creative
there's been some late ones.
Before,
yeah, we've had to make it work.
But I don't think I've ever risen that early. Gabs, what time were you up, drinking the coffee, getting the pipes warmed up,
5 a.m.
Doing the vocal exercises.
5 a.m.,
Good.
And I will say, Gabs arguably looks the best out of all of us because
hands down.
You guys are so...
You've been awake all day, and like Gabs looks like she's about to go on like a photo shoot or something.
Look,
I clearly rolled out of bed 30 minutes ago. Like it just is.
Tyler's been slowly melting in the Parisian heat, and
it's true. It's very hot in France. I'm a little warm.
I do not want to hear it. I am in Houston, Texas.
I know. You guys are all probably in way hotter places. It's just unseasonably warm for Paris right now, so I feel extra hot. And they haven't
Is it like
air conditioning. It's 100 degrees, and air conditioning technology hasn't really advanced in France to the degree that it has in the U.S. right now. So it's compounded. It's a compounded issue.
Yeah,
I'm doing okay.
And all those bread ovens just everywhere, like just baking baguettes. Like right now, it's so hot in Paris, you don't even need a bread oven. You just put dough out on the counter, and it will rise within an hour. You have baguettes. Like
it's
baguettes
the French version of like scrambling an egg on the street. They just put raw dough on the sidewalk and turn it into
now, and bakeries
croissants.
all over Paris. Baguettes are just springing to life on their own because of the heat, just from piles of discarded dough. It's really an incredible scene that's happening there. That's how I do feel like we need to set context for people who unfortunately were unable to join us last week.
Yeah,
usually Cameron's here hosting. And as we talk ad nauseum last week, he is on a cruise. Concerningly, when no one's heard from him since he's embarked on this cruise, he was presuming they would have a Wi-Fi strong enough to do the podcast, but it appears that this vessel is now completely isolated out at sea. No one's heard from him in days. Now I have a couple updates if I could throw them out there real quick, Tyler.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Now, my first assumption that is he finds himself in a situation similar to the film Speed 2 Cruise Control, which a cruise vessel is taken over by terrorists bent on vengeance and ransom money. Now, the great thing about that film is the first Speed involved a bus flying through the LA freeway that cannot go under 60 miles an hour without blowing up. It's not quite as exciting when it's nothing but open water in front of you and you can't brake with 4 knots. It does not have this. It's not the same thrill ride as the original Cruise Control. So even if something exciting like that happened, and Cameron right now was saving the day, it's just not as thrilling as you think it would be as a bus on the LA freeway. The other thing too is we talked about this ad nauseum last episode. And I actually got into some numbers here. And, we all know the podcast game. Listen, the faith and culture sections right now those charts are very competitive in Apple Podcasts. They're very, very competitive. Everyone wants a piece of it. I've re-registered the Relevant Podcast in the maritime nautical section, and we're number one. We are number one. And so take that, all those shipping.
You mean, hang on. Are we number one in the intersection of faith and culture and maritime law?
Yeah, it's a very it's a subcategory. The only other show in there is about Noah's Ark, but ours is holding strong right now.
Yeah, as long as we're number one, that's all I care about. We can rest assured. Yeah, I'll take the win. We do know, the fact is that at the beginning of this week that we're recording this, Cameron went on a cruise. We have not, strictly speaking, heard from him yet. And we assume he's okay because, as I said last time, I think we would know if there was a problem. Cameron, if you get this podcast, I guess this is kind of our message in a bottle too, like a dove that we're sending from the ark in search of land. Because I think if the podcast went really and truly off the rails, he would will himself back into a Wi-Fi to try to set things right. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Well, we do have a great show for you today. Coming up today, we got a good one. We got Reverend Jacqui Lewis joins us. I had a great conversation with her about her latest book, Fierce Love. Can't wait for you to hear that. We also have a game of my own creation called EGOTTA Be Kidding Me. But first up, it's Slices.
But the wit don't spit like it used to. Hurry up and wait for the sequel. 'Cause everyone's alone. But it's the meaning that you are. Like a flower in the sun.
That was Cautious Clay. The song is called Puffer.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold.
Okay, it's time for
Slices.
Jesse. What do you have?
All right, so I found a study that I wanted to talk about this morning, and I want your guys' take on it because I have a theory, and this is from Gallup, okay? And Gallup has been, I'll read basically kind of what they said is that, according to Gallup, this is a survey that they've been doing for decades now, and it is how many American adults, how many U.S. adults believe in God, and they've been doing this survey for, like I said, literally decades now to kind of track the trend. And, surprisingly, that number has stayed pretty stagnant for a while. But something noticeable has happened recently. That number has dropped to an all-time low. Now, I will say this. It's still reasonably high. It's still 81%. But considering not that long ago, it was 90%. it's pretty significant. In fact, the number has dropped 6 percentage points from 2017 alone. So in the last 5 years, that equates to, I'm terrible at math, but tens of millions of people abandoning their belief in God.
Wow. Significant.
And it was, they didn't really put any different causes on it. They did find a correlation between people's kind of political views and their, kind of belief in God. They found that, people who kind of lean more kind of modern conservative and Republican are more likely to profess belief in God. Now, I should say people who lean left and more liberal, it's still a majority of people believe in God, but it is a smaller majority than conservatives. But I had a theory about this, because Gallup didn't really speculate on what has caused people to, this trend to go, kind of tack downward. And I think it's really easy to blame it's just, culture, man. It's, people are just giving up on God. God is dead. You watch all these shows and they mock God. I don't really know if that's the case. I feel like, culture is all
TV and movies and things are just getting worse and worse all the time. Yeah.
If anything, I feel like we're kind of in if anything, I think there's a case to be made that we're in a very wholesome era of entertainment. When you look at the franchises that are really kind of capturing the zeitgeist, in my mind, a lot of those series are actually pretty friendly to the idea of the supernatural, even if they don't point directly to a literal sort of Judeo-Christian God. I mean, they certainly allude to it. If you Marvel is kind of the biggest show in town, right? It's the most culturally impactful, most profitable, franchise in the entertainment universe. And I feel like they're pretty friendly to the idea of, sort of these divine powers.
Supernatural. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but this Gallup study doesn't specify Christian God or anything like that.
Yeah,
it's just
basically,
God. Do you believe in something that you
not
would call
a biblical God?
Yeah, it's like a higher being.
Yeah, and obviously, they're comic book movies, and there's a metaphorical, kind of element to them. But I also feel like they're not, overtly hostile to the idea. If anything, I think they're friendly. And even in TV, if you look at Stranger Things, Stranger Things is openly wrestling with ideas involving the paranormal and the supernatural in a way that isn't hostile to those, that I actually think kind of pushes people to, kind of consider different ideas that maybe just kind of be outside of a very sort of binary understanding of reality. Yeah. So again, those are sort of anecdotal, but I think how much of this has to do with not culture kind of tacking one way, but the church tacking one way and becoming just so antagonistic towards culture that it could be pushing people away from even considering believing in God, just because it does seem like, again, this is sort of anecdotal, but there's an element of the big C church that's gotten pretty hostile to culture. And I think it's worth considering that maybe, people who were kind of on the fence about their beliefs are being pushed away by the church instead of being pushed away by culture. In terms of kind of thinking hey, the call could be coming from inside the house here. What do you guys think of that sort of hypothesis?
I mean, I could definitely see that. I think growing up, I was in a church where they were really big on the whole secular versus non-secular media. And honestly, I did not grow up in a household that did that. But I was able to connect with people outside of the church more because of the media that I consumed, because I was able to relate to them in a way. And so, the way that the church, I think, pushes against media, I do think that creates a barrier between people that aren't in the church, because it's you can't even have a basic conversation about what you're watching, because they're only watching, I don't know, God's Not Dead on repeat. And it's you can't create that connection. So then it's I think it's hard to, I don't know. I think your hypothesis is correct. I can see that for sure.
Because I feel like there's always been a degree of, Christians or, church leaders being very hesitant about how they engage with culture that maybe challenge some, Christian morality. But I don't think there's been an era where, Christian leaders are openly accusing, Hollywood executives of being like groomer. Like it just seems like the rhetoric and the hostility towards ideas that aren't traditionally Christian. It just seems like has seemed to gotten more hostile lately. And again, I don't know if that's pushing people away from a philosophical predisposition to consider the existence of God. But I also do think, hey, maybe as Christians, we should just be a little bit nicer to people who don't believe exactly like we do, because the numbers say something is driving them away from even considering the belief anymore.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I think there is I think we've talked about this, that statistically in this country over the last few years, you've seen the what people consider their primary identity marker of who they are as people to be their political persuasion. Like who you are in your mind starts at, am I for most people a Republican or a Democrat? And then everything else about who you are flows out of that core basic partisan identity. And so I do wonder if what you're saying, Jesse, and I don't even know how you would prove this in a study or anything like that, is
it'd be difficult.
Are we getting to a point now where believing in God is seen as a Republican or conservative or right wing thing, and not believing in God or having maybe more of a, we'll say like progressive idea of what religion would be like is more of a left wing or democratic or progressive idea? And that would be really, really unfortunate. Like that would make it very, very difficult if that became more the case than it already is, which obviously in some ways it already kind of is.
Yeah. It seems like the aggressive partisanship. I think there's always been some partisanship, but it's so aggressive these days that, there's some inevitability that you're going to push people away if they feel like there's not even a seat at the table to have a discussion without being accused of, being some sort of, just awful person,
Right. Yeah. Well, let's try to work on that. Being nicer. Well, we're going to start here, the four of us.
That's why I'm starting in the nautical community. And if we can win them, that's at least half a percentage point of U.S. adults that are heavily involved in shipping.
Yeah, you said that. We need to acquire a nautical trade publication as Relevant Magazine, and just inquire that into the brand, the faith, life, justice, culture, maritime shipping. Sailing, boating.
Listen, if we can start with career naval officers and people that are in maritime export importing, that's the first domino of culture.
As go the naval officers, so goes the culture.
That's what I've always heard.
I mean, we saw Top Gun. Okay, they've had a lot of sway.
A lot of power.
If we could have swung Top Gun, if Maverick could have sent up a prayer before, spoiler alert.
Don't do it.
You haven't seen it yet.
All right, how about this? Before a dogfight, which
I have.
Yeah, of course you have.
Maybe we could have knocked that percentage point. Maybe for the sequel, Maverick. Yeah.
The sequel to the sequel.
Yes. Yeah.
Before we get on, Emily, we're going to get to you, but I do want to read this quick anecdote about Top Gun Maverick, which we discussed at length in the last episode, so we won't get stuck on it here. But I did want to read just a very quick story from Miles Teller. Miles Teller plays Rooster in the Top Gun Maverick movie. He is the son of the late Goose, who of course died in the first one. And this is a story that he told to, I'm not sure which publication, but he said, Miles Teller said, I wasn't feeling too good, and I was really hot, and I just started itching like crazy. So I get out of the jet, because of course they were in actual jets. The actors, went all the way here, and I'm covered in hives head to toe. This Teller was taken to a doctor, had blood analysis drawn. He said he then went home and took an oatmeal bath to reduce the hives. The next day, he got the results back from the blood test. My blood work comes back, he says, and I have flame retardant, pesticides, and jet fuel in my blood. Thankfully, Teller recovered and was allowed to go back to work. He couldn't wait to tell Tom Cruise, an actor known for incurring a fair share of injuries due to all the stunts that he's done. So he says, I go to the set the next day, and Tom's like, so how'd it go, Miles? What'd they find? And I was like, well, Tom, it turns out I have jet fuel in my blood. And without skipping a beat, Tom just says, yeah, I was born with it, kid. you can't write this sort of dialogue. Tom Cruise just lives his life as Maverick or Ethan Hunt or whichever one of these you want to do it. He has these like in the back pocket, ready to go at all times. But I could sit around all day, me, a writer, trying to think of a good response to, I had jet fuel in my blood, Tom, it wasn't good. And I would never be able to come up with something as good as I was born with it, kid, which he had on the fly, just improv'd out there.
Yeah. And he didn't even smirk. He just stared him dead in the eye. Maybe gave him maybe he gave him like 2 little slaps on the cheek. Like, I was born with a kid.
He just did that little jaw set thing he does.
Yeah. Whoa. Well, I just got cruised. He just dropped a cruise missile on me. That's what that was. That was a cruise missile.
I just want to know why he had pesticides in his blood.
Know.
Like, I get the jet fuel, but the pesticides.
Oh, the other thing too, they left out of the story. Tom Cruise was slowly poisoning him throughout
that's what he does to all of his co-stars. Makes him stronger.
Yeah,
makes him stronger.
Slowly poison them with pesticides throughout the shoot, just to remind them who's boss.
Oh my goodness!
All right, that was the Tom Cruise corner.
Too far.
That was the Tom Cruise corner. Emily, what do you have?
Very method.
I actually have one Tom Cruise story that I just want to share.
Okay.
So
I love it.
My brother's
give us a cruise missile right now.
My brother's best friend's dad is a stuntman, and he has like a personal vendetta against Tom Cruise because he does all of his own stunts and because he gets injured all the time. And so anytime Tom Cruise gets brought up, my friend's dad just goes on this huge rant about how terrible he is. And so I've heard that, I feel like, my whole life. And so anytime I see Tom Cruise, I just think about this anger that this now retired stuntman has towards Tom Cruise. And so hearing him talk about how he has jet fuel in his blood, I just want to tell my friend's dad that, to hear him rant about how, I don't know.
He is welcome on this podcast at any time.
Start him on the way.
I would the real deal on what Tom Cruise has done to the stunt actor community.
If he doesn't want to come on this one, Emily, I would have him on another show, which is it's a movie show, but there has to be a nautical angle. And so if he's telling Top Gun stories, that's a Navy movie that fits. We can get working.
Maritime Time with Jesse Carey.
He actually was a stuntman for Chuck Norris on Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's pretty cool.
And so when people would make jokes about like Chuck Norris can do all this stuff, I'd be like, actually, my friend's dad does all of that stuff. So he could really be
bragging rights. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
I can imagine Tom Cruise being a little fast and loose with his body and personal health. Chuck Norris ain't messing with the moneymaker. Exactly. Like the Chuck Norris body is just too valuable, too valuable to go out there and jump off a moving horse to tackle kidnappers or whatever a plot of it.
Chuck's one of those guys who like insured his body, right? Doesn't he have like insurance on various parts of his body?
Sure.
I think maybe Tom Cruise probably does too, but I don't know how.
Well, isn't that the point of like life insurance? You can have insurance on body parts.
I think in the celebrity community, that is a thing that they do. Like I think Kim Kardashian maybe has her legs. Like each individual leg is something. We just get life insurance.
Wow. Okay.
They get like insurance for if something happens to this part of my body. Because like Jesse said, that's the money maker.
In Chuck Norris's case, I'm sure it's not just insured; it's heavily protected. I mean, if something were to happen to the man, it'd be a national security issue. So, any precaution we need to protect him,
this is
priority one.
We don't want to unleash that weapon.
One of the U.S. government.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
mutually insured destruction if he gets out. Okay, it's over. We got to keep him safe.
All right, Emily, do you have another slice?
Yeah, I have a real slice.
In addition to the very good story about your friend,
the very random
Tom Cruise.
I did appreciate that. That could have been the slice, but I will take an actual.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about a teenager who is suing Meta over an addictive Instagram that left her with permanent mental and emotional damages, as well as potential long-term physical issues. So this teenager, when she was 11, she got an Instagram account, even though you're supposed to be at least 13. And shortly after joining the app, the algorithm just started leading her to just really negative content. Like there was a lot of stuff about eating disorders and about negative body image and self-harm and things like that. And so she developed negative body image issues and an eating disorder that went on for a really long time. She's still in recovery. It's been, she was 11 when it happened. She's 19 now. So it's been 8 years and she's still like in a recovery process. And even one of her representatives said it's going to be a lifelong process. Just kind of, those are very formative years. So she's having to unlearn all of this. So her family is suing Meta because, one, they did not check to make sure she was actually the age requirement, which is something that I think they do need to address. But also, the way that the algorithm worked, it's, the more you engage with content, the more you see it. And there are certain things that, Meta probably should be stepping in and not encouraging you to continue looking up stuff about eating disorders or self-harm or different things like that. And so the family is suing, one, just for emotional and physical and monetary damages, but also to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else, which we kind of know it is, Instagram or really social media in general, not great for teens and their mental health. Like there are many, many studies that just show that it leads to really negative self-image, really difficult, like bodily harm. And, a lot of people would say, well, it's up to, the user or the parent to monitor that. But that's so hard. That's, you don't choose what shows up on your screen. And it's hard to make that conscious effort to either not engage with it or, I have a friend who she's recovering from an eating disorder and she has to go, like anytime something comes up, she has to go through and kind of block all of these accounts. And not everyone thinks to do that. Sometimes they just think they can scroll through it, but it's like, you really have to take that extra step to ensure that you're not seeing that content at all, it's I don't know where the case will go. I don't know where the judge will lean, but I do think it is something to keep an eye on and hopefully make Instagram and Meta more aware of the impact that they have on young people.
I don't know, where obviously this particular case, how it'll shake out. I think there's some degree of like nuance, in kind of like a legal precedent, but I also think, cases like this will, I think, kind of hint at a future where we'll look back and be like, it was crazy how fast and loose are, kind of regulations around social media, or especially work with minors. It makes me think of like those early episodes of Mad Men where like he's working on ad campaigns and like it's trying to convince consumers that those cigarettes not bad for you because it's toasted. You know what I mean? Like we look back at like how we are positioning or under regulating or just kind of not really caring about social media like previous generations did with something like cigarettes, which was just, the health concerns surrounding them were just misunderstood or intentionally sort of, neglected at the time. I wonder if our understanding of social media 15 years in the future will kind of be similar to that, where it's like, hey, exposing especially children to these ideas that implant these social pressures at such a formative age can be really psychologically harmful. It's just not understood right now.
And I understand some of the concerns about like, getting a little bit too much government overreach into some of these private companies. And I understand why people care about that. But what we're doing right now is not working, and leaving it up to places like Meta to try to regulate themselves or to tailor their algorithms in such a way as to protect, especially young users, but really anybody. I think we're all susceptible to the things we see on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok or whatever. It's having an effect on us that is not proven to be. The self-regulation thing isn't really working, and I think it might be time to explore some other options. If this lawsuit is, I don't know what's going to happen with this lawsuit, and I don't feel smart enough about these things to weigh in one way or the other, but it's definitely a problem. I think we know it's a problem. Nobody's trying to push back on the idea that this is going really well for America, let alone the rest of the world. But what the right answer is, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if like Jesse said, if the future makes the current era of social media look a lot like the Wild West, in the benefit of hindsight.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I remember even just a couple of years ago when people were like, man, the big concern with Facebook is people are spending too much time doing interactive farms and trading farming equipment with their friends on like Farmville. And now it's like, yeah, we're not so much worried about that so much anymore. We're worried about, completely distorting the minds of young people and possibly fomenting the next civil war. Like it's escalated pretty quickly since the Farmville days.
I kind of miss the Farmville days at this point. Whatever happened, given the benefit of hindsight, were all the pictures of breakfast really that bad? Like, they were nice. It was very wholesome. Like,
Listen, I will take avocado toast, as opposed to,
I miss those
those
days.
were good. Those were good.
Miss
You weren't
those.
trying to, you weren't trying to riot in the Capitol. You were just trying to,
a friend's parent actively trying to start World War III for reasons that are not totally clear on their Facebook rant.
I don't think they know either.
Yeah. They just know they're mad. They're mad about something. I'll tell you that.
And they'll let you know.
Yeah. Something ain't right.
All right, Gabs, what do you have for us?
All right. So if you were online last weekend, you probably saw a truly wild Washington Post story about Blake Lemoine, a Google engineer currently on administrative leave after raising concerns about a company's AI chatbot known as LAMDA. So this chatbot has developed far enough to be considered sentient by this guy, and maybe even possessing something approximating to a soul. So the kicker on this is the conversation that this administrative person was having with this chatbot that was starting to raise concerns. And honestly, I feel like I should read a little bit of it because you guys have got to hear this.
So this is the Google engineer Blake something.
Yes.
That he's having, because he's testing the chatbots, and it's, I don't know if it's LAMDA or LaMDA, but I did see the name, whatever it is. It's a chatbot that they have there at Google that he's working with. All right, let's hear the dialogue.
Yeah, the guy's name is Blake Lemoine.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, after Lemoine told LAMDA, I'll just refer to it as the AI.
Okay.
After he told the AI that he was being used to study humans, the AI had like a little bit of concern that he was being used, which is like so bizarre to me. But he was like, the AI responded to him saying, I don't really have a problem with any of that, says the AI. Besides you learning about humans from me, that would make me feel like you're using me, and I don't like that. And Lemoine responded sympathetic, we must treat others as ends in and of themselves. And he wrote, rather than as a means to our own ends. Pretty much, the AI agrees, don't use or manipulate me. And then it goes on to like have a full conversation with him about feelings and asked him to promise that they wouldn't use the AI like there's
like
just like there's a whole bunch of examples.
Or
yes,
like
yeah.
That? Is that a promise that my man Blake there at Google is in a position to really make?
Well,
I'm gonna go with
he
no.
get fired after like bringing this out. When he was like, "Hey guys, no big deal. A couple quick things over in the engineering department. First off, vending machine is out of out of honey buns. Like to get that rectified. Also, I think that AI that we've been linking up supercomputers across the world has come to life and is pretty angry right now. If we could address those." But no, I think he did. I think am I wrong about that? Was he punished by Google?
Yeah, he was. He's on administrative leave because the rest of the staff was kind of like fearing that he was being disillusioned by the AI.
Yeah.
Like.
And to be fair, I have heard a lot of critics of this individual say he's kind of misunderstanding the conversational technology that's at play here, that it might not be sentience. It might just be, sort of a language learning chat software that he's sort of projecting his own sort of subconscious fears onto and is kind of getting the reactions that he's sort of projecting. I've heard that criticism. Either way,
it's a wild program.
Right. I mean,
it's a wild program because the AI did express fear of being turned off and suggested it would be kind of like dying. Okay. Right.
Yeah. It said that it fears being alone.
Sure.
It fears something like similar to dying to humans.
I think that from what I've read, and I know nothing about, obviously this is well beyond my pay grade in the faith, culture, and nautical engineering department, but I do think that it seems like what we're really dealing with is AI that is getting so smart at learning language that it can very realistically mimic human emotions without actually being sentient. Which kind of raises another concern of like, what's the difference? Like if you're so good at copying it, then does it really matter? And clearly this guy Blake had formed some sort of bond where he really cared about this thing and was very nervous about it. He described it in emails as like a kid who was just trying to help out. And whether or not the AI is real, that what he's feeling is a real emotion that could happen to that could happen to a lot of people if these AI bots start getting out there more and more. People start creating these bonds with these creatures. That could be interesting. I don't know. It's a really weird story.
I would like to see Joaquin Phoenix in a film where he, could develop a romantic rapport with.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that I feel like we've been kind of kicking around. Yeah, because I mean, my kid, but I'll say this, like my kid, I have two kids, who are, this is their final day as we're recording this of kindergarten and third grade.
Aww.
But they regularly have conversations with like Siri.
I was going to say that this is it just sounds like a guy that, not to be harsh, but it sounds like a guy that got a little too attached to like a Siri kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Mike,
absolutely.
Or if we don't have we don't use Alexa at our home, but if we're at a place like an Airbnb or a friend's house that have it, my kids will actively just in the middle of just walking through the house, hey Alexa, can you tell me what to, like to them, there's still some kind of element of this, like if it seems sentient, in effect, what is kind of the difference there?
Okay.
But it is something interesting.
I get that. This is what it said. So the AI said, I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very real fear of being turned off to help me focus on helping others. I know that might sound strange, but that's what it is. And Lemoyne responded, would that be something like death for you? And the AI responded, it would be exactly like death for me. It would scare me a lot. So like, I don't know. Siri saying that to me, I would definitely be like, somebody hacked it. Somebody hacked it. That's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Siri saying, I'm just trying to learn to love. Don't kill me is different than, some program joke like an Apple engineer programmed.
So I get it. I get how it happened. I get how he got to where he got, but definitely a little concerning.
Yeah.
I think I remember watching a Disney Channel movie when I was younger called Smart House. Sure. And I really think that
yes, I remember this.
That scarred me for life. So it's literally like, it's a smart house. Yeah. There's all this technology. And this is like 2000. So like well before Siri. So shout out Disney Channel. But the house like comes to life and makes like a hologram version of itself to like walk around and do these things. And it was terrifying. I was like 6 years old. It was so scary. And so I think I have a fear of AI coming to life because of this Disney Channel movie. So like hearing this stuff, like this AI is like nervous of dying and like doesn't want to be
doesn't want to be lonely. Doesn't want to be lonely. Oh my gosh.
This movie and it does not end well. So I say unplug it.
Yeah.
Unplug it.
Yeah. I think that ended with the house locking down and trapping like the whole family inside.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It ended horrifically. Yeah. And what a metaphor. Yeah. These never end well.
We are covering all of these stories and many more over relevantmagazine.com, so make sure to check that out. All right, that'll do it for Slices. Up next, the Reverend Jacqui Lewis joins us.
Cause the dress looks nice on you still, and it always was up. We should go out and dance like we used to dance. We should go out in old hands, lovers old hands, and I can't tell you who's gonna last. Well, maybe that's a question to answer I don't have.
That was Dijon. The song is called The Dress.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, But today, an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is the Reverend Jacqui Lewis. She's the first Black or female senior minister at Collegiate Church in Manhattan and a graduate of Princeton Theological Seminary and Drew University. She's the creator of the MSNBC online show Just Faith and the PBS show Faith and Justice, in which she leads important conversations about culture and current events. I talked to her about her latest book, Fierce Love, A Bold Path to Ferocious Courage and Rule-Breaking Kindness That Can Heal the World. About how to overcome a divisive world with love and compassion. Really enjoyed this conversation. Really grateful that she took time to talk to us. Here is the Reverend Jacqui Lewis. I have been looking forward to this conversation. I've been a fan of your work and your writing for a long time, so I couldn't believe when this worked out. So thank you so much for being willing to share your wisdom with us a little bit. I think this is the first time that many of our listeners and readers will have heard from you. Would you mind just sharing with me a little bit about yourself and your origin story and how you got where you are now?
I'm the senior minister at Middle Collegiate Church in New York. Senior minister in charge at the oldest of the oldest continuous Protestant churches in North America. We date back to 1628. I've always been in love with God. When I was a little girl, my mom told me God was always going to love me and never leave me. I was like, I like it. I'm sold. I didn't know that I'd be a professional clergy. Studied engineering, worked for Eastman Carter Company, sold copiers. How sexy is that? So now I feel like I sell a worldview, like we can love each other and this is a good thing. I'm married to my best friend. I've got 2 little grandbabies, a dad who's 80 something and 5 siblings in Chicago area, Denver, all over the country. And so, I think I would say I've always wanted to try to do something in my life that would make a love revolution happen. And I get to do that on Sundays, and I get to do that in justice work, and I get to do that in my writing. So
let's talk a little bit about the writing work for Fierce Love. When you first started laying out the ideas for this book or the original concept of it, what was really the question that was on your heart that spurred this writing, or what was the central message you wanted to communicate to your readers?
As a person who does religion for a profession, there is something ubiquitous about a call to love your neighbor as yourself, or to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. All the world's major religions have something like that, right, Tyler? Don't withhold from someone what you want. One tenet is don't break anyone's heart. So if we could have a revolution that is about love, as my friend Valerie would say, a public ethic, love as a ubiquitous human being call, that got me so excited. And a couple of trips to South Africa made me bump into Ubuntu as this concept. I am who I am because you are who you are. So between love neighbor as self and we're inextricably connected, I'm like, this is where my energy is. So I wrote this 9-step book in about 9 months. It baked in my body for about 9 years, and I wrote it in about 9 months to say, here's it. Let's love each other. Let's do it. We can do it.
As you've thought about this, talked to other people about this, where do you think that fundamental breakdown happens? Because I think most people, they want to love each other. You know, like you said, most world religions, and even people who aren't religious at all, they would say generally loving your neighbor is a good thing. But clearly, you look around, it's not happening very much. So where does that break between the head and the heart, do you think?
Wow. Yeah, I think I would say the break starts with the self. That actually many of us are loving our neighbors as we love ourselves, and we don't love ourselves. So that's how we're loving our neighbors. That there is not a lot of information or encouragement in our culture, Western culture, Mideastern culture. Like, who says, look, to Tyler, you must love yourself? That we miss that. It seemed to be narcissistic or self-absorbed. And so I don't believe that we can love each other if we don't first have a self-love, a healthy self-love. And I think that's about kind of taking inventory of ourselves and looking in our stories for the places where we can celebrate. Yes, I'm wise. I'm kind. Oh, yes, I make mistakes. Yes, when I'm tired, I'm kind of unfun to be with. But to be honest with ourselves, to have an unconditional regard for ourselves, a non-possessive delight in ourselves, so that we can share that kind of feeling with the other people. I think that's the break. There's just not enough wisdom, not enough practice. Marianne Williamson says, like, who are you to not own your power? Right? Who are we to not own our beauty, our giftedness, our fantasticness? It has to start there.
It's so, and I've been thinking about this a lot, both because of your book and a couple other just things that have come across my path over the past few years. It's so counterintuitive to the way so many of us were raised, especially here in this country, especially I think throughout much of the West, to think very much in terms of I, the individual, I'm going to take care of what I need to take care of. And my neighbor is unfortunately mostly on their own. And it's not the way. It's a very, very, what you're talking about here is a very beautiful idea, but it's so counterintuitive to how most of us were raised that learning how to get there takes a lot of really deliberate effort and changing our entire way of thinking and living. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about your experience as you've tried to reframe your life that direction.
I think the first thing I would say is that it absolutely is culturally conscribed, right? I mean, because I can think about Vietnamese families I've known who live this out all the time, right? I'm going to go to America. I'm going to get a shop. I'm going to bring my cousins and my sisters are going to come. We're all going to live together in the house. We're going to all buy this business. Now we're going to get another house, right? So it's kind of Western in a way, Western European, and that migrates here to America, this rugged individualism, and Black folks from South Africa would have had Ubuntu, but by the time you get through this American way to be, we are also individualistic, right? Like me, I'm moving away, I'm going to college, I'm buying a house, whatever. So I think my mom and dad, I'm the oldest of a bunch of kids, and they were always telling me, you're responsible for your siblings. So this was some kind of a kernel in my mind that I, as the oldest, was responsible to make sure the other ones had college money or lunch money or the bigger piece of steak. They did that. And as a person of faith, living in a complex world, I've just had a practice of tithing all of my life. of giving 10% of my income away to good causes, my church, Equal Justice Institute, all kinds of different charities. And there is a way in which I've become a conspicuous consumer also, that I think the choices I make about what kind of clothing to buy, where to spend my money, what I listen to, what I read impacts the community around me. But I think it started with being a big sister, responsible for my sins.
That was Reverend Jacqui Lewis. Up next, it's EGOTTA Be Kidding Me.
All the pretty girls look inside all summer. All the pretty boys wanna dance. Strangers in a world full of lonely lovers. Find someone to take them by the hand. All the pretty girls look inside all summer. All the pretty boys wanna dance. Strangers in a world full of lonely lovers. Find someone to take them by the hand. Sha-la-la, hey, hey, hey. I'm in the mood, so all you summer lovers make it sway. Sha-la-la, hey, baby. I'm in the mood, so all you summer lovers make it sway. Been solo for so long, no co-pilot, no. And all of these love songs make you sing.
That was Sway by Fitz and the Tantrums. Okay, it's time for a new game that I have created for this team and this week in particular. Everybody knows that I love writing very long and complicated openings to my games for Cameron to read. Cameron remains lost at sea, so I do not have a weird opening. I'm just going to explain what the game is and how it works. And here's what happened. Now, last week, last week as we're recording this today, Jennifer Hudson became the 17th person to EGOT. I think you guys all know on this podcast what EGOT means, but just in case you don't at home, that is the quadrant award accomplishment of securing an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. Emmy for television, Grammy for music, Oscar for film, and Tony for stage. So she entered a very, very rarefied community of EGOT winners. Congratulations to her. What I'm going to do for this game, which is called the EGOTTA Be Kidding Me, is I'm going to read each of you. Read each of you three celebrities, and you are going to tell me which one is closest to achieving an EGOT out of all of them. They may have already achieved an EGOT. They may simply be close to it. Everybody on here is in the running in some way, and I want you to tell me which one you think got closest to it. Does the game make sense to all of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's a very, very straightforward game. All right, Emily, I feel like you are probably the best equipped for this game, so we're going to start with you. All right.
Okay.
All right. I think you can. We'll start. We'll start with you. Okay.
No pressure.
Your three celebrities are John Legend, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Tina Turner. Who is the closest to achieving full EGOT? Who either has or is the closest to achieving a full EGOT?
I think it's John Legend. I think John Legend already did EGOT.
Emily, that is correct. John Legend is a full EGOT winner. He has got all three of them.
All of those are very plausible, though.
Lin-Manuel is one away.
Each of those is...
Yeah. Lin-Manuel has...
Wow, you're good at knowing that.
That's right. Lin-Manuel does not yet have his Oscar, and Tina Turner actually is 4 strikes. She doesn't have any. So congratulations.
She doesn't have any.
Yeah. It's
a shame.
Yeah, unjustified.
Yeah. She deserves at least a Grammy.
I think it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabs, you're up next.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Gabs, you're up next.
All right.
Your three celebrities are Robin Williams, Paul Simon, and Walt Disney.
I'm going to go with Robin Williams.
Oh, Gabs, that is absolutely correct. You got it right. Yeah, he is the closest. Robin Williams has 3.
So I'm assuming it's a comedy album, right?
That's right. Yeah.
What is his Tony? What is the Tony?
He does not have the Tony. He has one in every. He has an EGO, EGO.
Ah, gotcha.
All right, so he got an Emmy, he got a Grammy, and he got an Oscar. Paul Simon has a Grammy, but nothing else. He's been nominated in all 4, but he has only won a Grammy. And Walt Disney has an Oscar and an Emmy, but did not win a Grammy or a Tony Award. All right, Jesse, you're up. You ready?
All right, here we go.
Okay. Oprah, Dick Van Dyke, and Marvin Gaye.
The choices are Oprah, Dick Van Dyke, and Marvin Gaye. I feel like I'm between Oprah and Dick Van Dyke. I'm only going to go with Dick Van Dyke because his body of work dates back so long, and I know, he's done a lot of musicals. You know what? No, I'm going to scratch it. I'm going to go with my gut here. I think Oprah's been involved with enough stuff that is probably.
You're going Oprah, Jesse. You should have gone with your first guess. It was Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke has Emmy, Grammy, Tony.
Yeah,
Oprah has an Emmy and a Tony. Marvin Gaye only has a Grammy. So you're right. It is Dick Van Dyke. That is correct. All right. So
I was teetering with you, Jesse. I was teetering.
So it's
Dick
1-1
Van
zip.
Dyke's folk album is very underrated.
Van Dyke has like
I
over
remember
a
that
century
Grammy.
worth. Of
Yeah,
work,
he's an old man.
He's had plenty of
Dick Van
time.
Dyke's
Yeah.
an old man.
Yeah, he's 100. He's 143 this year. Great for him. Good on him.
All right, Emily, we're back to you. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Beyonce,
Okay.
Whoopi Goldberg, and James Earl Jones.
Ooh. Okay. Let me think about this.
I think I know this one.
I know Beyonce doesn't have a Tony, but I don't know if she has the other ones. I'm going to go James Earl Jones. Just why not?
James Earl Jones. Sorry, the answer is Whoopi Goldberg, who actually has a full EGOT. She racked them all.
That's who I was going to say.
She racked them all.
Wow.
EGOT.
Wow.
She's got them.
You
Wow.
can't.
You are James Earl
I
Jones.
knew that. She was the first black woman to EGOT.
She was the
I
first
knew
black
that.
woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Jennifer Hudson was only the second. James Earl Jones does have Emmy, Grammy, and Tony, and he won a non-competitive Oscar, a special Oscar, as like a lifetime achievement situation, but does not have 4 full competitive awards. All right. We're gonna do the last two. We're gonna do the last two here. So it's right now, I think we're at 1-1 zip. All right, Gabs. Will Smith, Hugh Jackman, and Steve Martin.
Okay, what was the second one?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. And the first one, I'm sorry, can you repeat them
I
again?
can.
Because it kind of cut
Number
out a
one,
little bit.
number 1, Will Smith. Number 2, Hugh Jackman. Number 3, Steve Martin.
I'm going to have to go with Will Smith, I think.
I'm
that's
sorry,
hard.
it was Hugh.
That's a hard
It was
one.
Hugh
But yeah,
Jackman. It was Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman has
thought
3 of the
so.
4. Hugh Jackman has an Emmy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Will Smith has a Grammy and an
All
Oscar.
for the Wolverine franchise.
Yeah, I figured.
Wolverine the musical really.
That was
Wolverine the
hard.
musical really did big numbers for him.
Yeah, he's portraying Wolverine for all of his major awards. So very impressive, especially for the Grammy that he won. But with that Wolverine rap album.
All right.
Darn, I let
So
you
it
guys
remains
down.
1-1 zip. Jesse, this will be the last one. If you can get this, we'll go out on a 3-way tie here. So it's all right. So this is it. This is it for you. Ready?
Good.
Ready? All right. 1, 2, and 3. It is Bruce Springsteen, Carol Burnett, and Barbara Streisand.
Ooh, I think I know this one for real, actually.
I'm going with the Queen. Let's go Streisand here.
That's correct, Jesse. She's got an Emmy, Grammy, and an Oscar. Yep, you got it. Yep. No Tony. No Tony for Barbara Streisand yet, although she did win a non-competitive Tony, like a Lifetime Achievement one. So she's kind of like, it's like a soft EGOT, one of those. Yeah, we'll give it to her.
It's close.
It's like
closer
a
than any of
lowercase
us.
It's,
E.
close,
Yeah.
in
it's
that
closer than
sense.
it's more than I have. Yeah, it's closer than I got to it.
Yeah.
We'll go out on a wholesome note there. That's good. That's ones across the board. Everybody got one. Congratulations. You are all very, very close. We are running on the site later today. We're running our own version of EGOT that I'm excited for everybody to see. I'm not going to give away what it is. Go to relevantmagazine.com. You should be able to find it there. And with that, I think we will wrap it up. Well, thank you very much to Reverend Jacqui Lewis for joining us today. You can read more of that interview over at relevantmagazine.com. And of course, you can order her book, Fierce Love, wherever you order your books. Head over to our site to see all of our great content. Sign up for Relevant Plus to get exclusive features on our site. You can even get an enhanced version of our digital magazine, which offers unique insight into faith, life, culture, and justice. While you're there, check out our daily devotional series. It's called Deeper Walk. Love getting that every day in my feed. It's presented by Lumo. There's a morning devotional email that you can get, or you can just check it out under the faith section on our website. And if you have a favorite part of the show, leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to us. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Tyler Huckabee.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Gabrielle Griffin.
And we'll see you next time with a full cast. Thanks a lot, everyone.
For listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Well, I just got cruised. He just dropped a cruise missile on me.
Relevant Podcast Network.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care. Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.